Cosa Nostra, the Italian mafia empire and its terrifying secrets. The Mafia, a term originating in Italy, is believed to have been derived from an acronym for Morta, Alla, Francia, Italia, Anela, which translates to "Death to the French is Italy's cry." Originally founded as a self-defense organization for the Italian poor to combat oppression and expel the French, the Mafia's roots lie in Sicily, a beautiful Mediterranean island that became home to more than 100 aggressive Mafia families. Despite their vast numbers and wide area of operation, the Mafia groups maintain strict organization and rarely experience conflicts among families. The term Mafia doesn't refer to a single organization with a central leadership coordinating its activities. Instead, it's a catch-all term for organized crime groups with roots in Italy or Sicily. Over time, however, Mafia came to refer specifically to a covert network that engages in violent methods such as extortion, drug trafficking, and terrorism. The Italian Mafia, also known as Cosa Nostra, meaning our thing, operates internationally and has partnered with various other crime syndicates across the globe. Members of the Mafia refer to themselves as part of Cosa Nostra to affirm their loyalty to this covert brotherhood. Mussolini's crackdown on the Mafia. The Mafia's expansion posed a serious threat to Italy's stability, prompting Prime Minister Benito Mussolini to wage an aggressive campaign against Sicilian Mafia gangs in the 1920s. Mussolini's government arrested over 11,000 criminals, of whom more than 1,200 were sentenced to prison. Though this campaign weakened the Mafia, it failed to eradicate it completely. Many prominent Mafia members, including Carlo Gambino and Joseph Bonanno, escaped to the United States, where they would go on to become powerful Mafia dons in New York. The rise of Cosa Nostra after World War II. The end of World War II marked a turning point for Cosa Nostra. Following the Allied invasion of Sicily in 1943, the Mafia began to reassert its influence over the island. Most government positions in Sicily fell into the hands of the Mafia, filling the power vacuum left after Mussolini's regime collapsed. During this period, the U.S. military reportedly relied on Cosa Nostra to maintain stability in Italy, even providing weapons to Mafia members to help protect American assets from sabotage by fascist forces. This relationship cemented the Mafia's hold on Sicily and led to its resurgence. Once they regained strength, Cosa Nostra broke free from American influence and plunged into various criminal enterprises. Their activities spanned from extortion and smuggling to prostitution, drug trafficking, real estate, and car sales, yielding massive profits. Driven by the enormous profits from global drug trafficking, Cosa Nostra set its sights on the international heroin trade. In the aftermath of the war, the Italian government invested heavily in reconstructing Sicily's infrastructure, much of which had been destroyed during the conflict. However, between 1959 and 1963, 80% of government contracts for rebuilding went to 5 contractors connected to the Mafia, rather than to major construction companies. This marked a period of rapid social upheaval for Sicily, expanding the heroin trade. By the 1970s, Cosa Nostra had taken over heroin distribution networks previously controlled by gangs in Marseille, France. Opium was shipped directly from Asia to Sicily, where it was processed into heroin before being smuggled into the U.S. The distribution network relied on a series of pizzerias across the United States, which served as fronts for the drug trade. Between 1975 and 1984, this pizzeria network supplied around 1/3 of the cocaine to the U.S. market and up to 80% of the heroin consumed in the northeastern states. This shift to transnational heroin trafficking marked a dramatic change for Cosa Nostra, transforming it from a local crime group into a massive international syndicate with significant influence. The 4 major threats posed by Cosa Nostra. The expansion of Cosa Nostra brought with it a surge in murders, manipulation of political outcomes, assassination of government officials, and attacks that verged on terrorism outside of Sicily. The pursuit of control over drug routes triggered a brutal internal war among Mafia clans from 1981 to 1983. During this period, the Palermo-based Bontad and Inzerillo clans clashed with rivals over control of the drug trade, resulting in the deaths of around 1,000 individuals. By 1982, Palermo's murder rate had tripled, with Mafia-related killings reaching their peak. Ultimately, one faction, the Corleone family, based in a small town outside Palermo, emerged victorious. Led by Luciano Leggio, with support from infamous mafia figures like Toto Riina and Bernardo Provenzano, the Corleone faction rose to power. Despite their rural origins, which led Palermo's crime elite to view them as peasant bandits, the Corleonesi gradually expanded their power through violence and strategic alliances, leveraging drug profits to manipulate politics and secure their position. Political manipulation and the corruption of democracy. Cosa Nostra's control over the heroin trade allowed it to amass significant financial resources, which it used to corrupt political institutions. The Mafia could alter tens of thousands of votes to influence election outcomes, effectively laundering its criminal activities through political power. In 1987, Judge Giovanni Falcone famously noted that the Mafia's influence thrived on a symbiotic relationship with certain Italian politicians, who protected Cosa Nostra's interests in exchange for votes and financial support. Between 1960 and 1974, at least 8 politicians were murdered, while at the height of the heroin trade, from 1975 to 1985, Cosa Nostra assassinated at least 20 political figures, including the mayor of Sicily, the head of the Communist Party in Sicily, and the chief prosecutor of Palermo. This grim wave of killings spurred the Italian government to launch the Maxi trial, an extensive investigation and prosecution effort that resulted in the indictment of over 500 mafia members in Palermo alone, with additional arrests in New York. As the Maxi trial unfolded, Cosa Nostra's violence escalated. 5 judges, several political figures, and numerous investigators were killed. Among them were judges Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino, key prosecutors in the Maxi trial, who were assassinated in separate bomb attacks. Their deaths shocked Italy, leading to a deployment of 7,000 soldiers to Sicily to contain the Mafia's escalating attacks. The Mafia's vengeful campaign against Italy. Following the arrest of Salvatore Toto Riina, head of the Corleone family, in 1993, Cosa Nostra launched a wave of deadly bombings in Florence, Milan, and Rome, resulting in 10 fatalities and 93 injuries. The Mafia even targeted the Catholic Church, bombing 2 churches and assassinating an anti-mafia priest in Rome. In January 1994, Cosa Nostra planned to massacre spectators at a football game in Rome's Olympic Stadium, but the bomb failed to detonate. Realizing that this wave of violence had gone too far, the Mafia's new leader, Bernardo Provenzano, called off further attacks. After 1994, the attacks ceased, and most of the Mafia's high-ranking leaders were eventually captured. Provenzano himself was arrested in 2006, ending a 43-year-long reign. This arrest marked a turning point, achieved through cooperation between Sicily's local authorities and national agencies. The structure of a Cosa Nostra clan. Cosa Nostra isn't a single gang, but a criminal conglomerate encompassing various crime groups. According to Francesco Messinio, Palermo's chief prosecutor, there are currently 94 mafia factions with an estimated 3,500 to 4,000 members, mostly concentrated in western Sicily, with over half based in Palermo. Each faction operates under a hierarchical structure. The boss, chosen by senior Cosa Nostra members, leads the faction with the help of advisors who hold significant power and assist in making crucial decisions. Should the boss be killed or imprisoned, an advisor may step up to lead. Below them are smaller crews, each led by a commander and consisting of around 10 members. To join Cosa Nostra, members must be Sicilian natives with no familial connections to law enforcement. Despite lacking a formal organizational framework for dispute resolution, the Mafia's structure and influence have allowed it to endure and expand, a legacy of power and violence. For decades, Cosa Nostra has stood as Italy's most notorious criminal organization. Though no longer the drug trafficking powerhouse it once was, Cosa Nostra continues to wield influence over Italy's political and security landscape. Its leaders remain powerful figures, still revered as godfathers by many. Cosa Nostra's history is a testament to the dangers that arise when an area falls under the grip of organized crime. However, its gradual decline demonstrates the potential impact of political resolve, community support, and international cooperation in the fight against crime. Despite its resilience, Cosa Nostra's influence in modern Sicily is greatly diminished. The city of Palermo, once plagued by mafia violence, now boasts one of Europe's lowest homicide rates at 0.6 per 100,000 residents, a remarkable turnaround from its violent past.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And as always, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next one.